Hi friends, welcome to another Make It Monday. Today's Monday, January 22nd, 2024, and I am Jamie Sales, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, coming to you tonight, not live, but pre-recorded. I had a scheduling conflict this evening, but I wanted to keep up with my Mondays, and so we're trying pre-recorded. Hopefully it uploads and everything goes smoothly. Pre-recorded, however, doesn't mean it will be edited, so I'll be coming to you as if I were live. I just won't be able to interact with you live. Go ahead and leave your comments. Please say hello, whether you're live or the replay. Well, I guess you're not live. We're all replay. It's nice to know who's here with me, and I will be sure to read your comments and respond. So it's the best I can do under the circumstances, but thank you for being here. Tonight, I'm going to share with you a stamp set from the new mini catalog. But before we do that, let me remind you that I have Stamp Camp tomorrow, Tuesday, January 23rd, 6 o'clock Central here at my house. I've got 3 fun cards planned for us, so I hope you will join me then. What else? I have a card to give away. Every week, I let you know that if you choose to share my video, come back, leave a comment, let me know you shared, because Facebook doesn't always give me those names, and then your name will go in the drawing the following week to win the card that I created. So, just because I'm not sure exactly where we're at on screen, I'm going to turn the camera down. I'll show you quickly last week's card. We'll draw a name, and then we'll get started with a project. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to rotate the camera because that's what I do when I do a Facebook Live. And so hopefully this is what we want to do, and hopefully we're not upside down now because that will be a bummer. Okay, here is last week's card. This one used the Trusty Toolbox Designer Series paper. It's one of the items you can earn free during Celebration. Let me see if I can get it better on screen. Excuse me, I'm going to fumble a minute with the camera. Always with the light and the camera is always an adjustment. Okay, so here's the card. This one has a belly band that slides off, and then it opens like this. And there's our fun card. Last week I had, I believe it was 7. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people tell me that they shared. So let's roll the die and see who we can give this to. So a 0, 8, or 9 means I have to roll again. 7. Joyce Gimlin. Congratulations, Joyce. I will give this to you the next time I see you. And thanks so much, everyone that shared. I appreciate that. That's how my name gets out there for other people to find me. Here is my host code. If you choose to make an online purchase and you would use that code, I would appreciate it. That's my code for January. The host code can always be found in the banner at the top of the page, the Stampin' Up, Stamp and Send a Smile page. And that just, if I didn't say it, that helps me earn free things that I can then share with you. So that's the benefit of the host code for all of us. Okay, tonight I'm working with this Rockstar stamp set. Sorry for the glare there. As I said, from the mini catalog, trying to make sure we're on screen here. It's got the electric guitar, a microphone, a drumstick, a lightning bolt, and then 3 fun sentiments. There are coordinating dies. This is a whole suite. So the dies will die cut those images, the drumstick, microphone, the lightning bolt, the guitar. There are also some larger lightning bolts, a small guitar pick, a really big guitar pick, a banner for one of the sentiments, and then some fun stars. So that's a great fun set. And then there's also designer series paper and embellishments. Here's the paper. We've got guitars, a lot of just abstract black and white that kind of gives that I don't know, rock and roll, roughed up kind of feel. This one looks kind of marbly. Just some zaggedy stripes. Here's some nice stereos. And just some, this makes me think 80s. And then on the flip side, again, more black and white. This is kind of Doppler-ish to me. Got this black and white. This is really kind of feeling very 80s now that I think about it. Got this one, this one, this one, and this one, which really feels kind of spacey also. Okay, so that's the paper, and the embellishments are stars and lightning bolts. We've got them in white, Daffodil Delight, and Coastal Cabana. So we're going to use some of those tonight as well. Okay, so let's get started. I've got just a scrap of basic white here, and I'm going to stamp my guitar, and I'm going to emboss it. So the first thing I'm going to do is come in with my embossing buddy. This is part of the embossing set that is sold with a really nice tray to collect the embossing powder after you pour it off. The embossing buddy and something else. There's something else in that set as well. It's escaping me right now. But what that does, you saw that I just tapped it first and then rubbed it on my cardstock. And what that's going to do is kind of take out some of the static. Sometimes the embossing powder will just stick here and there on your cardstock due to static. And the embossing buddy takes that away. Okay, I just stamped in Versamark so you can't see it. I'm going to bring in an older piece of grid paper here because I'm now just going to sprinkle this over my cardstock about where I think I stamped. If you're stamping on colored cardstock, you can see where the Versamark has stamped, but on the white it's much harder to see. So I know it's here, right around here, so I'm just going to sprinkle that all over that area. And then pour it best I can into my cup, and of course it's falling off. That's what that scrap paper is for. If you've got that embossing toolkit, that's what that tray is for, and the tray has a great spout, so you can then just pour it right back into your cup from the tray. What I am left doing is pouring it back from my sheet of paper, but I'm not going to do that right now because I feel like that would make a big mess. It's easy to do. I can't manipulate underneath the camera the paper where I need it to. So here's my image stamped and covered in embossing powder. I now need to take this over to my heat tool, heat it up, melt that powder to a glossy shine, and then die cut it. And that will give me this. I like the glossiness, especially for this. And then I'm going to color. What am I going to color? I'm going to color part of that with one of our blend markers. This one is Dark Real Red. And I thought that's narrow enough. I'm going to use the other tip, I think. I had a specific friend in mind as soon as I saw this stamp set. And he is a big Eddie Van Halen fan. And so I just Googled Eddie Van Halen guitar to see what it looked like. And the one that kept coming up was, now I feel like I need the brush side, red with white and black lines, just like scratch lines or paint lines all over it. So that's why I'm going with red. And now that I've started, I'm seeing that this tip on this particular marker is drying out. So it's not coloring as smoothly as I want it to. It's not as dark as I want it to be. So I'm going to go back to the bullet side. I really should have changed markers. So that's on me. See how much darker this end is? So there's still ink in there. It's just that that brush tip is starting to really be worn. But this side works too. Just a little slower. So, as I said, the Eddie Van Halen guitar was red with white and black. Well, I didn't want to try and do that on here. So I'm going with this for my guitar. But then I brought in this paper because this is kind of the look that was the white and black on the guitar itself. Well, I didn't want to try and do that, but I cut one of the guitar picks out of that paper, so I've got that look there. And I'm going to do something else to that to make it look even more tied in. But first, let me set that aside. And I should have shown you this first because this is going to take some drying time. But I have a layer here of Designer Series paper. And it looks, you know, kind of worn. It makes it feel like there's some texture to it, but I wanted a little bit more texture even still. So I'm bringing in my white embossing paste. And I'm going to add a little bit of texture. Because it looks worn and kind of rough, lighter in some spots, darker in others, like it's worn, I thought I can add a little bit of embossing paste just here and there. So a little there, a little there, a little down here. And I'm just going to kind of smear it around. I don't need it to be nice and smooth. I want it to be kind of rough. Just for some texture. I don't want it really thick though, because then it's going to take longer to dry. I'm going to be a little cracky and not the look I want. And then I'm just going to take the edge of my palette and follow kind of that crisscross kind of pattern that's in the paper, dragging it across the embossing paste, and it makes that same kind of pattern in the actual paste. Okay, so I'm not sure how well you can see it, but there's some right there, some right here, and right here. So I'm going to set that aside, let that dry a bit. Get the cap back on my embossing paste because we don't want that to dry out. And then this is just a water cleanup. For right now, I'm just going to wipe it with a paper towel so it doesn't dry on there. But just soap and water will clean that off if you don't let it dry on there. Once it's dry, it hardens. Okay, back to that guitar pick. So here was my pick. I mentioned that the kind of scratch lines are red and white in the guitar I was trying to mimic. So I've already got the white lines on there. I need to turn some of them red. So I could use a marker, but my thought was to go with a blender pen and some red ink. And can you see along the edge of my ink pad, there's just a little bit of ink that kind of is on the actual white tray, not on the actual pad. I'm going to go in and try and pick that up with my blender pen. I know I can do it. The other thing, if you don't want to try that, is if you kind of squish your ink pad together with the lid on. well, I didn't do it so well. Some ink will pool up in the lid. You can pick it up there with your blender pen. Or the other thing you can do is just take a clear block and just tap a little bit. There, I've got a little bit of red ink. Can you see it? Right there, and I can pick it up from that too. So let's do it that way instead of what I was thinking I was going to do. So if you just rub it on here, you'll have a little bit on the tip of your pen, and then I'm just going to follow, whoa, that's nice and dark. Follow some of these lines. I don't want to do all of them because I want red and white. I'm not going to pick the really thick ones because I want to be able to just cover it with my blender pen. So some of these thinner ones, and as I said, just a few of them, I'm going to hit with the red. And again, this is mostly because I'm trying to copy a very specific guitar, but I feel like it adds a little bit of interest. Let's see, we'll do a few of these dots over here too. Okay, so just a little bit. I should have done one of these. Oh, I did do one that went the opposite direction. Let's see. There we go. All right, so there's my pick. Now the tip of your blender pen you can clean by just, I'm looking for a scrap. Just rub it on the sideways. You don't want to go straight on, but sideways on a scrap of paper until it comes clear, and then it's clean and ready to use again. The tip stains, but that's okay. You can see that it didn't have any remaining color, so it'll be good to go for the next thing. This I'll just wipe with, or run under the kitchen sink, or wipe it with my chamois, and that will be good to go. All right, let's put this thing together. All right, so my card front is basic black, 8.5 by 5.5. I'm folding it at 4 1/4. So a standard card base. And then I have a layer of real red, 4 by 5 1/4. So let's get some glue on the back of that. Center that up. And then will come my embossing paste layer. Now, depending how thick you went on with your embossing paste, it dries pretty quickly. If I had remembered to do that before I stamped my guitar, it would probably be dry by now. But since I didn't, I'm going to come in with a different one that I had done ahead of time. And you can see when it dries, it's kind of, can you see? Yeah, there you can see. It's kind of starts to curl a little bit because the paste was wet to begin with. So I'm going to go a little heavier on my glue than I normally do. I normally just do around the edges, but I'm going to come in here on the corners especially with just a little extra. It's very thin, but still just to cover the spots so that it's secure everywhere. And this might take a little more pressing as well because on this piece I did go a little thicker than I wanted to with the paste. But it's already dry, so there it is. It looks great that way, it just curls a little bit more. The thicker you leave the paste, the more it wants to curl. But there, that works. Have some great texture right there. Can you see it? I don't know that you can, but When I'm done and take some still photos, I'll try and make sure that that shows. Okay, so my pick is going to go, let's see, over here like this, and then my guitar like this. Yep. So I'm going to glue my pick on flat. And again, I'm doing some extra glue on the back. Very thin, you don't need a whole lot, but I want to cover all the space because it might be trying to stick on some embossing paste depending where I ended up with that. And it is right there, it's sitting on top of some of that embossing paste. So because it's not gluing flat, I wanted some adhesive in the middle too, just to make sure it stays where we want it to be. And for my actual guitar, I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back. So that will pop up. And let's do, I can probably do, it's an odd shape, so this is, oh, I feel like this is overkill down here at the bottom, but bring in the minis here for the neck of the guitar. And again, that's more, and I'm going to do one right here too. This is more dimensionals than you need to secure it to the paper, but I want to make sure that the lift is consistent. We don't have any saggy parts. Nobody wants a saggy guitar. Okay, so we'll peel those off. And put that. This is also ending up on some embossing paste, which is another reason to go a little extra with the dimensionals. So there's my guitar. And now those little tuning knobs, whatever they are, work as they are with just the black embossing powder. However, I saw an idea. I got a swap, so I'm going to show you that when I'm done with this. Got a swap from it, which is a card I traded for with another demonstrator, her design. And she brought in some of these pearls. These are the festive pearls in the annual catalog. They come in gold, silver, a light green, and a cherry cobbler. So I'm going to use my take your pick tool and grab a silver one. So I'm just going to steal her idea and use these as those little knobs because that is a really cool touch, I think. Look at that. I love that. And then the embellishments that were in this pack. Trying to decide which color I want to use. If you were here live, I would say, which color should I use? I might go with, I'm going to go with the Coastal Cabana. So rather than, because these are big, rather than the, whoa, I was about to say, rather than the take your pick tool, I can use my hands, and then look, I'm dropping it. But we're going to go with one here. I lifted that one right. Okay, I just picked this one off and I can see the shape right there, and touching it, that's the adhesive. It shouldn't peel right off of its own adhesive. It should stay on its adhesive. But when that happens, just press it back on and then just twist. Instead of pulling it straight up, give it a little twist. And voila. So we're going to twist. That's the beauty of your take your pick tool. That would help me do that instead of trying to use my fingers. Oh, I like it. I like it. So that is my card front. And then for the inside, let's go ahead and do an inside this time because we didn't use a sentiment. So I've got just a layer of basic white. I'm going to come in with some Memento Black. And hope that this is straight. It's always hard for me to stamp straight when I have a camera right where I want my face to be. Have a rock and roll birthday, and you see that looks kind of scratchy too to mimic the front. And then we'll just add, I had a yellow ink pad. I was going to add a lightning bolt, but we've got Coastal Cabana, so I feel like we need Coastal Cabana lightning bolt. So let me just clean the yellow ink off my stamp and get the Coastal Cabana real quick. It was, of course, on the bottom of my stack. And I think, just do a lightning bolt. How? This way. Kind of feel like that might be upside down, but is there an upside down to a lightning bolt? I don't know. There's my inside. We'll add that, and the card will be finished. And I'm really hoping now that this whole thing is not upside down, because that would be a bummer. Now that I'm all done, I should have done a test. There we go. Inside and the front. And there is our card. So rather than turn the camera back up, oh, I have a couple other samples to show for you. Here's another one that I did. I did this one for a color challenge where you were supposed to use Poppy Parade, Calypso Coral, and Smoky Slate in a card with geometric shapes. So I used the patchwork dies to give me some triangles for that card. And then this is one that I received as a swap. This is from a demonstrator named Anne-Marie Heil. She lives in Texas. And here's her card. Let me turn that off so we don't have that glare. Oh, now it's dark. Hang on, sorry. It's not one thing, it's another. And she used our hologram specialty paper for the stars that she die cut. So they've got kind of that iridescent feel. And then also, if you can see it, it's in plastic. I should have taken it out. She used the music note embossing folder, which gives some texture, perfect background texture there. So that is her card. And I'm just going with this. I feel like there's a lot of fun things we can do with this set if that's your thing, or if you have musical people that you're going to be sending cards to. If you aren't ready to dive into the whole suite, we also have a new kit in our kit collection with the guitar, a guitar, and a drumstick. And there's no stamping involved. All the sentiments are already on die cuts for you. It's only $14. So that is something to check out as well. Thank you so much for watching. I will be live again next Monday. Don't forget Stamp Camp tomorrow, Tuesday the 23rd. I hope to see you there. And until then, have a wonderful evening.